What up, people? Football Black here, and it's been a minute, but I have a special one today because Super Bowl just happened, and the Patriots lost, so we had to do one. With me now is the Rant Sport and Fitness's own Minyon Garrett, and
hey, what's going on, guys?
Dude, what did we just watch?
You watched a really, really good football game. There's some key points in the game that I want to talk about that really just blew me away. Really, I mean, from defense to offense on both teams, really, and obviously Nick Foles. I want to talk about that too. Let's start off with Nick Foles.
Brother, you have the floor, man. Because go ahead, because I have thoughts too.
Okay, Nick Foles. Okay, he's not a bad quarterback. He's proven now. Now, do teams open up for him? Now, this is the point where it gets kind of tricky in this situation. Even though Carson Wentz got you, you knew you were going to go to the playoffs with Carson Wentz playing. But do you look at this situation with Nick Foles? Who do you play now? Because he just won the Super Bowl for you in an elaborate fashion, in a huge way.
Well, that goes. You gotta Doug Peterson and the offensive staff. That's a coaching job. That right there is understanding what you have. And let me just say this: when Carson Wentz got hurt, everybody just discounted what the Eagles were. We've followed the Eagles. Me and you have done Cowboys breakdowns. We watched the Eagles for years. I said last year when Carson Wentz was a rookie, that defense was something. That defense was something. They were an up-and-coming team offensively last year when he was a rookie. The defense was hard-hitting. They tackled well. They improved this year. They improved offensively, especially with Alshon Jeffrey and Aguilar having a breakout season. I always thought he was going to be something. It just took him a couple years to develop. This was the year. You know what I'm saying? So, and we forget under Chip Kelly, Nick Foles threw for 700 yards in a game and had a career season under Chip.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you go to the Rams and Jeff Fisher, and you weren't able to develop. You go and you back up Alex Smith, and you play with Andy. You play with Andy Reid in Kansas City. You sign as a backup to Carson Wentz, and the rest is history. Like we want to act like Nick Foles is a bum, and he's not a bum.
Right.
He's a capable quarterback, and under the right system, and with the offense, because basically they talked about the run-pass option the whole game, and basically the run-pass option is most of the offense today was in the a lot of the offense today was in the shotgun, and run-pass option is you set up for a pass, but if the pass isn't there, you run. Or vice versa. Like you have
the RPO was phenomenal.
Yeah, you have multiple options on every play. You know what I'm saying? So you have three capable running backs in that system. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the catch rule, I don't even know what a catch is.
I don't either. Like, to be honest with you, I want to touch on that last touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Really, if I was the ref,
that's not a catch.
That's not a catch, man.
Matter of fact, the Clement catch wasn't a catch.
No, it wasn't. So in theory, if you take those away from them,
New England wins that game.
New England wins that game
because that wasn't a catch. None of them were.
It wasn't. until this day, too, until they fix that, I think this, and this is my opinion, the refs kind of made this a flawed victory for
well, you know what it was? I said it like the last touchdown, especially. I was like, the refs don't want to talk about the refs don't want to call a reversal and make the game about them, make the game about a call. They were like, okay, we're just gonna call everything a touchdown now, unless it's obvious. Like the Clement catch, there's doubt there, and that because dude, we've seen catches like the Clement catch reversed during the regular season. Heck, during the playoffs.
Yeah, the Steelers are like
right
pissed off right now.
Right.
You know that.
Every Steelers fan is like, wait a minute, how was that a catch? How was it a touchdown catch?
Des Bryant is sitting at home right now, like, really? Really?
Every Cowboy fan should be mad at now because that Green Bay game. Because if the ground can't cause a fumble, that like the Clement catch, he didn't have control. The ball was moving, and if the ground can't cause a fumble, like, and you have to make a football move, or like I guess they were saying on the last one he was running and he dove in. He dove in.
He made a. They called it a runner.
Yeah, he caught the ball and they made him a runner. So. Tell me what a catch is supposed to be, because I don't know.
Man, in my honest opinion, what they need to do is they need to go back to the old rules. they need to go back to the old rules and stop adding and taking away, because they're making the game so difficult now. They really are. Now, us looking at it and us looking at the replays and stuff, those catches were not catches, man.
No. Based on the rule, the rule, those weren't catches. Based on what they've been calling for the last 2-3 years, those were not catches. And exactly. I know we sound like Philadelphia fans now. We're not, but I don't know what a catch is.
Me either. Now you take those. I go back to it. You take those touchdowns away, Brady walks off with the trophy.
Right.
And you know that. And I tend to think it was the perfect storm for that to happen. It was the perfect storm. And when you can't allow the referees, you can't play into their hands now in the league. You just can't. You can't do that. I think they were. I don't blame this on the refs at all. I blame it on the rule. The rule is dumb. The way they're calling the catch rule is dumb. Like, as a Bears fan, I watched Zach Miller break his leg, hold on to the ball, and then put the ball down, and then they said, like, get in it, catch the ball for a touchdown, break his leg because somebody fell on him. The leg is broken. The play is dead. He puts the ball down, and they say it's an incomplete pass. Now, watching that play and watching the two plays tonight, I don't understand how those are catches. I'm not putting those on the refs. What I am saying, though, is the refs are not, they don't want to, they're scared to make a call. They're scared to take those 2 touchdowns away. Because if you take those 2 touchdowns away, then people are going to be like, the catch rule. Well, you're still going to have that conversation because how they've been calling the rule for like 2-3 years. But I'm not taking anything away from the Eagles or Nick Foles, because like Nick Foles and the Eagles offense, they did not let up at all. They were like, they came out throwing the ball, getting Nick comfortable and stuff. They didn't, the running game was, they were able to run on the defense of the Patriots, and it was wonderful. It was a wonderful game. I just don't know what a catch is. Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. I don't know either, because like I'm sitting here watching this, and my wife is sitting here, and we were sitting there watching, And she was like, "That's no way that's going to be a catch." She
Right.
didn't do it. And I'm telling her, I'm like, "Babe, it's going to be a catch. And they're going to do it because for one, it's the Super Bowl, and two, they're playing the Patriots.
No one wants to be no one, and two, no one wants to be this either. They don't want to be like, hey, we're giving the Patriots the Super Bowl, because whenever you go, if you're a referee, if ever you go with the Patriots, then they're saying that the game is fixed, the game isn't real. You know what I mean? So I completely agree that, like you said, it's going to be a catch. I was like, okay, because everybody was like, we don't know. So then when I saw the first questionable touchdown catch, I was like, yeah, they're going to call the game like that. They're not even going to overturn calls.
Right.
Dude, it took Gronk like 3 quarters to get. I don't know why they were, because you're a former defensive player. Explain to me what they were doing with Gronk, man, defensively, because it took him basically a half
to get into
and half of the third quarter to get thrown to. You go from 1 to 9, and then Brady started throwing to him, later. What were they doing?
Well, the thing is that they were trying to play Tom Brady as close as they could, and they knew that if Gronkowski, there's a certain post route that Gronkowski runs, that's their bread and butter play, man, and they knew, okay, well, our objective here is we got to take Gronk out of the game. We got to. But the problem is that when they did that, Brady, or I'll say Belichick, figured out, okay, well, if you're going to take him away, if you're going to take my main guy away, then I still have Hogan. I still have Edelman. So I'm going to kill you.
You mean Amendola?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you with them two, and I'm going to take Gronk, and I'm going to use him as an extra block. But y'all are still going to be aware of where Gronk is, because you're going to always set up that double team on him. So I don't really have to worry about it. Right. But when they started shifting the ball around to Hogan, to Burkhead, to Edelman, when all that started to happen, they were like, okay, we got to open up the defense because these guys are killing us. Mm-hmm. And then when they did that, that left room for Gronkowski to put on his show.
So Belichick was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and like work in Hogan and work in Amendola, which Danny had a good game, a very good game today.
Edelman, didn't I?
Yeah.
I meant what you just said.
Yeah, he had a very good game. Hogan was like, because with and I forgot the guy that they just brought in this year, their deep threat. He got hurt as a concussion. They didn't call it a concussion, but he got hurt in the first quarter. He got by it was a legal hit, but it was a concussion. And they said Michelle Tafoya was like, he's not going to return. So basically, it wasn't, they couldn't go down the field.
They couldn't.
All the way. And then
because it was like basketball. They had small ball, dude.
Yeah.
The only tall person they had was Gronkowski.
Yeah.
To be able to go up and get it. So that was a problem. That was a huge problem. Mm-hmm. Now, can we say that if the Eagles played a fully healthy, because I'm just gonna honestly tell you, I'm not a fan of the Eagles. I'm not a fan of the Patriots.
Let's go.
But I will say this: if the Eagles played a fully healthy New England team, I truly believe New England comes out winning that game. I really do.
Well, if you have the difference when there's not a deep threat and they stop Gronk. They stop Gronk and there's not a deep threat, and Offensively, and it was really close, but offensively, McDaniels got outcoached today.
Yes, he did. He did get outcoached. And the whole thing, he knew that.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he was going to get outcoached. The only thing that saved him, I tell you, the only thing that saved him was them 2 touchdowns that weren't touchdowns.
Right.
And that's the only thing that saved him. And he knows that. He knows that because from a just a straight football standpoint, New England was on them, and this was about to be a repeat of the Falcons, bro. I know you thought of that. I know you thought of that, Chris.
Let's go.
In this game, because you knew good and well Brady was not going to lay down.
There was mistakes, dude. Cause I'm on Facebook, watching the game, and when Alshon Jeffrey fumbled that catch and threw it back in the middle of the field and it got picked, I was like, It begins. There it is. There it is.
Right there.
Let's go.
And sure enough, he went this, and I told Tiff, I said, Tiff, watch this. He gonna go all the way downfield with Gronkowski.
Mm-hmm.
What did he do? He went all the way downfield with Gronkowski for the touchdown.
Right.
And you can almost count when you make a mistake, and I still say this. I believe that the Eagles won. The Eagles obviously won tonight, okay? But I believe that New England was the better team, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course.
Because you can't, if you're a great team, you can't let somebody come back like that, in that fashion.
Mm-hmm.
In that fashion.
You talking about after the interception, Brady just marched down the field like that?
And he kept doing it. Yeah, I mean, you cannot be a true champion like that. Both defenses, it was mentioned with the Patriots because they do the whole you can get a lot of points you can get a lot of yards on the Patriots, but you can't get in the end zone. Because they're like second in the red zone, man.
Right. So you can get in the end, you can get in the red zone, but you can't get in the end zone. Like they'll stop you every time. So
exactly.
So but see, here's where Josh McDaniels got outcoached by Peterson. Like there was some gadget plays. Now both of them had gadget plays. The end around, like wide receiver pass to the quarterback, the wildcat where it wasn't even an audible. It was the true wildcat. It was like, okay, you're in the shotgun, you audible in the shotgun. Nick Foles kind of goes sort of as a wide receiver, and Brady goes sort of as a wide receiver. You do it end around, and then you throw the ball to the quarterback as a wide receiver. Oh, by the way, if Brady catches that ball, he's wide open.
Exactly.
So if Brady catches that ball, wide open. The difference between McDaniels and Peterson, McDaniels did it in the middle of the field. So even if Brady catches that, he's
not going to score a touchdown.
Right, he's getting lit up because you make him a receiver. He catches that ball. He's open, but he's not going to be able to get to the end zone. But he'd have got some yards. But somebody would have lit him up. Do you really want to do that? Whereas with the Eagles, their play, exactly the same play, identical. It's in the red zone. So you don't put your quarterback in danger, and Nick Foles is more athletic than Brady is.
Yes, he is.
You get it?
He is.
Yeah. So it's like, and Belichick lets McDaniels call the plays and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And there's wrinkles, there's read option, and there's option plays, and there's stuff like that McDaniels has added to the offense this year. So it's like, offensively, McDaniels got outcoached. Defensively, it it was a game because both of them played the bend don't break style defense where everybody can go down the field, but red zone, stops is important. And, offensively, McDaniels got outcoached. And the Eagles outcoached the Patriots. So, but yeah, it was a good game defensively. If you knew what to look for, if you knew what type of defenses they were, it was a good defensive game. Even though both teams combined for almost 1,200 yards.
Yes, they did, and that to me was amazing because that just tells you that was a good football game, man. But at the same time, I'm shaky on those calls, those touchdown calls.
Yeah,
because it's like what would have happened, and we can go and talk about this too. Okay, imagine those two calls aren't touchdowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Tom and the Patriots end up.
Imagine their field goals instead of touchdowns.
The field goals, or the field goals that the Patriots had earlier on that they missed.
Yep.
Imagine if they had those as well. So you take those touchdowns away and you add on those field goals that Tom Brady and the Patriots missed. I mean, who comes out the victor? It's crazy, man. But they got to fix that rule, man, because I'm a cow. Obviously, guys, I'm a Cowboy fan, so they need to fix that rule.
And as a Bears fan, dude, like, I mean, it was Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson lost the game because of the catch rule, and it was obviously a catch, but he put the ball down, and they said he didn't have control. And that's where the catch rule came from. It helped out it helped us out as Bears fans. It also hurt us this season with the Zach Miller play where he broke his leg. Like, that's a touchdown. And quite honestly, that even though the Bears didn't finish well this year, we probably would have won that game against New Orleans if they would have called that. If they would have called that game or they would have called the two games in question that me and Minyon are referencing.
Right.
Then that Green Bay game, Dallas wins that Green Bay game. And the game this year, Chicago wins that New Orleans game. And then in your case, that Green Bay game a few years ago where the Dez Bryant catch happens.
Right.
How does that change the fortunes of the Cowboys that season?
Man.
So there's the reason why we're bringing up these two touchdowns is like specific.
Our former team bit the bullet.
You know what I mean? Like, and again, I'm not saying this isn't a Philadelphia Eagles fan,
Trust us.
This isn't a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and this isn't this isn't a Patriots fan crying about the Patriots losing. This isn't what this is. But that's inconsistent. To me, it seems like the refs were really scared to be the story. And ultimately, if people are smart tomorrow morning, they would make the refs the story anyway, because how they've been calling the catch rule, that doesn't make any sense. That whole situation doesn't make any sense to me. So man. So I want to talk about, because the running game was good too. Like, I was surprised that the Eagles were able to run on. I wasn't. Okay, because I thought the Patriots were good, had a good running defense. Like, was I wrong in that assessment?
Well, the problem was that I knew what kind of running backs the Eagles had, and I recognized the linemen that they've had, and comparing to the Patriots, and I knew with the backs that they had, they were going to be able to do some things, because they're running backs. Blunt, former Patriot, You know what kind of runner he is.
Adage.
I mean, huh?
And Adage, the one from Miami.
Exactly.
That they got from Miami. And he was hurt.
Yeah, and that's that. I knew that, so I was like, well, that running game is going to be able to do some damage. And if they continue to run the ball and ground and pound, that's going to be a problem all game long. And it was. Now New England had some stops on them. Now they had some stops, but it just kept going. Okay, 5 yards here, 10 yards here, 3 yards, 5. And you know when people are gassing you with runs like that. That tells your defense up. And
you might break with an 8-yard run. The screen game was like nuts.
Yeah, and then that opens up the play over the top.
Right.
You know, so look at Alshon Jeffrey. That play opened up right up at the top. You know.
Right.
And you know, a couple of other plays too where they were catching balls, man. I mean, I just don't think New England's defense is tight enough to withstand the amount
three running backs that can run and a killer screen game.
Right, because the touchdown that they, you know, one of the touchdowns they gave on Clement, he's a running back.
Yeah, dude, he had 100 yards. He had 100+ yards receiving that today. Like.
Yes.
Like
we watched him on that play be a safety, a corner, and a linebacker.
Yep.
Now, how in the world?
And one of his first interceptions was like up the middle, and he had all day.
That's what I'm saying. So I think what's happening with New England is that what they're going to go back and do, they're going to go back and regroup. I think Brady will be back.
I was just gonna ask you what's up with.
He's gonna play. He's gonna play, and I think Belichick is gonna give it one more year.
You think so?
They're gonna. Yeah, I think they're gonna go for another run, and I think too they're gonna make some pretty interesting moves this offseason. And you know it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be a funny year next year.
What? Because with that injury to the wide receiving core, they had 3 wide receivers. Now, to Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth's point, you have so many Swiss Army knives offensively that can just go and do what they, you know, because the dude from Cincinnati, like he's a running back, a small running back. He plays fullback sometimes. But they line him up as receiver. And he had a couple good runs, like in the third quarter, at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. You know, to just kind of even out offensively. It doesn't matter because they find dudes that can do multiple things. But to me, like you can't. They have a problem of not getting premier receivers anyway. But today it just let me know that there needs to be depth offensively because they didn't have it today.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like Gronk is coming back off of a concussion. They covered him for the majority of the game, and you know he was able to break free in the fourth quarter. To get, you know, the majority of his yards. But they need some depth, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know how offensively things are going to be different because McDaniels is leaving. I don't know how defensively things are going to be different because their defensive coordinator just took the Lions job.
Yeah, I think what's going to, you know how Belichick is, man. He's going to find somebody within that organization. He's already been, I guarantee, mentoring or, you know, putting in work on somebody to get them ready for that position. You know, I mean, I think next year the NFL is going to be wide open. I mean, because this is crazy. This really is a crazy time of year for football. I think next year, Nick Foles, I don't know. I keep thinking about that. Like, what are they going to do with him?
Well, it depends on, because
let me ask you a quick question, man.
Yo.
Let me ask you this, and I want to ask the fans this too. Who do you go with next year? Who, if it came down, bottom line, Carson Wentz, who's coming off of an ACL injury and a broken leg, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so who do you go with, Carson Wentz or Nick Foles? Right now.
Go for it. Coming off of injury?
Yeah. Who do you go with? It's the beginning of the Eagles season right now. Who do you go with? You're the coach. You're head coach.
I gotta go with Wentz. Just because the talent level is the same. And I'll tell you this: the talent level is better with Wentz. And if Nick wants to stay in Philadelphia,
they're gonna have to pay him.
That's what I'm saying. If Nick wants to stay, because if I'm Nick Foles, depending on, I don't know how his contract situation is. I don't know if he has a year or if he has a year left or he's going to free agency now. If I'm Nick Foles, you go somewhere else. You got to.
Yeah, you have to.
If I'm Nick Foles, you go to Jacksonville. That's the perfect place for you. Go to Jacksonville. Like, why?
Do you think that they'd pay him a max contract
for Nick Foles?
Yeah.
Nah. I think if he's under contract, they keep him at the contract. I think if he's not and he's a free agent or he feels like he can make more money somewhere else, you go somewhere else. Now, here's the thing though. Nick Foles in other systems didn't work well. Now, we have our issues with Jeff Fisher as a developer of quarterbacks, so that could be a bad example. But in St. Louis, he in St. Louis / Los Angeles with the Rams, he didn't play well. You know what I'm saying? And you go from I'm about to quit to like let me just be a backup in Philly again. You know what I'm saying? To like I'm winning Super Bowl. What do you want to stay in that incubator of quarterbacks that are coach, offensive coordinator, and quarterback coach? Do you stay in that little cocoon and do you kind of, get checks, or do you see if there's more money out there for you? Because Carson, we watched Carson Wentz play for 2 seasons, Minyon. That brother's a problem when healthy.
Yeah.
Like, what would you do? Because I got to go with Wentz, man.
This is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is the problem that I have with it is that, for one, he's coming off of an injury.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming off of an ACL and a broken leg.
Right.
All right. He's gonna have to shake off a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback, but we've seen quarterbacks come back with those kind of injuries, and they aren't the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's given me 2 good seasons with no injuries. I'll say he's given me 1 solid season with no injury and half of a season where he played well before his injury.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've seen this with other quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Does this make him have to become a pocket passer? Because we know how the injuries work. It can slow you down.
Right.
Broken leg and the ACL tear. Not just the ACL tear. A broken leg, though.
Right.
So I have to think in my head.
That means you have to do because the RPO system worked under Carson Wentz too. Like, so, but
Exactly.
that means instead of because you add a dimension with and I'm not saying the dude ain't Cam Newton, but he can move around. Okay, so that basically means you change your offense to where Carson Wentz doesn't move around.
Exactly. Now,
which is actually the offense that Nick Foles ran, basically. Like if you do the RPO system with Carson Wentz where he doesn't move, where it's like he's a pocket passer and he really doesn't move, then that's a different offense. But I think he can excel in that too. You just take the running aspect away. But to your point, man, like here's what I would do if I'm really struggling with the quarterback situation. Depending on the contract situation, you can get a pick for Foles. So it really depends what do you want to do. Do you trust the coaching staff and do you trust your system to where Nick Foles can be the dude? Because Nick Foles is only 29.
Yeah, he's young, man.
Okay. Now Carson Wentz is what, 24?
Yeah.
24, 25? The youth is still there, but if you're really concerned about injuries, here's a thought. I would there are teams that need a quarterback. Now, one of the teams that you beat to get to the Super Bowl needs a quarterback badly because they don't know what they're gonna do in Minnesota. Do you really trust Case Keenum? Do you trust Case Keenum? Do you trust Sam Bradford? Because Sam Bradford's coming off of an injury too. They like him, but do you trust him? Sam Bradford got a heck of an arm, worked well in that system.
I don't like him as a quarterback.
Sam Bradford?
I never have.
Sam Bradford?
Yeah, I never really liked him as a quarterback. He was okay at OU. I'm not a huge fan.
Right.
Of him, and I know a lot of people aren't. I mean, he doesn't to me say I'm a quarterback. He said it's more like I'm here and I look weird in my uniform. I had to add some comedy.
That is no quarterback breakdown at all, but
no, but seriously though, the quarterback breakdown on him is that if he gets pressure, a little bit of pressure, he's throwing an interception.
Yeah.
He's fumbling. He's throwing it up in the air just to anybody, man. And you can't do that. And plus his quarterback, his QB rating isn't really that high. And his knowledge of the game is QB knowledge is not great.
You found the perfect system in Minnesota. You found because Norv taught because Norv Turner was the offense coordinator. We know who Norv Turner is. We've seen him develop QBs. Like you know the work that he does with QBs, right? And then when Norv left, the other staff there are also very good. So you found the perfect situation with because Sam Bradford, of the three quarterbacks in Minnesota, Sam Bradford is the most talented one. But I don't trust his knees. His knees are bad. So if you're Philly, and there are situations like that, do you trust? What's the name? Traded Alex Smith to Washington. I don't know how that's going to work. But what I'm saying is you can trade one of them QBs in Philly if you trust your coaching staff and your offense. If you trust your coaching staff can develop a QB, you keep one of them and you trade the other one.
Right.
I believe in that. And you get it, and especially with this draft class. This draft class is not a draft class where you, in my humble opinion, where you overdraft the QB. They tend to do that anyway. But with Philly, I would see if I can get a high draft pick for one of those guys. If you're not sold on if you're not sold on Carson Wentz being the future, like, you can get a first round draft pick for him.
Right.
You know, if you're sold on Nick Foles being the future, I am not. You know, I like Wentz better. I always have. But Nick Foles isn't a bum. Like, I wasn't one of those people that's like, oh, Brady, Brady is gonna walk away with his championship easily. I'm like, for the people that believed in that, they're like, you don't understand football. You don't understand what Philadelphia actually is doing with their offense and with their quarterbacks. Like, that's a poor thought. Like, anybody that just thought like that Nick Foles was just a bum, and you know, Nick Foles under Chip Kelly's system, like, put up crazy numbers. And Nick Foles didn't run, and Nick Foles didn't move around. He was straight in the pocket, and he put up decent numbers. And in this system, it took them a couple weeks for them to tweak the system a little bit. But especially in that Minnesota game, because that Minnesota defense is I watched the Minnesota defense a lot this season. And that Minnesota defense was the truth. And for you to tear up the Minnesota defense like that, and for you to come into this game and pick apart the defense like that with the Patriots, like, Nick Foles is a good quarterback. Is he a franchise quarterback? I don't know. Do I like Wentz better? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he's a franchise quarterback, but when you prove yourself on the biggest stage like that, I mean, it makes people think, man. Because, look at his numbers.
300 plus yards.
Look at the numbers he put up
on
Minnesota. Look at the numbers he put up on the Patriots. The only thing you can really say is as far as
small sample size. That's it.
Yeah, but one of the things you can say is, well, he did a great job, but he really didn't play against a really healthy Patriots team. You could argue that. And you could say the same thing about with Minnesota, with Nick Foles. You could say the same thing about that as well. But at the end of the day, man, I mean.
But going back to your point though, if you're Jacksonville, and you know, Blake Bortles, decent QB, but is Nick Foles better than Blake Bortles?
Oh man!
Like, is that an upgrade? Is that an upgrade for Jacksonville?
Dude, that's tough, man. I would have to.
I mean, you got a running game. You got a running game. Like, they basically do the same thing. Man, they basically do the same thing that Philly does. With the difference, Blake Bortles can run around, and Blake Bortles is less accurate, or at least shown to be less accurate than Nick Foles has been. So, like, then they own, like, if they sign Blake Bortles and Jacksonville signs Blake Bortles, even if they franchise him, that's $19 million, fam. Do you really want to sign Blake Bortles to $19 million?
No.
Or do you call Philly and ask a question about their quarterbacks?
I mean, of course. I mean, I would definitely ask the question, but I mean, at the same time, man, it's a lot of factors when you're shifting around those quarterbacks like that, man, and to know, I guarantee you, really with Jacksonville, their coaches are kind of like, well, we already know what our quarterback is capable of. Nick Foles, we can kind of look at his history and be like, He's decent, but we already know what we have. Do we really want to make the switch now? Now, it would be interesting if he played for the Jaguars, but I can tell you a team that he'd do well in, but they made a mistake in getting him.
Let's go. Let's go.
Our friend, what's his name? Steve Smith. I think Steve Smith it would be better on another team. I think that.
You mean you talking about Alex Smith?
Yeah, Alex Smith. I'm sorry. Yeah, I misquoted there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think Alex Smith should not be playing.
This is devolves into quarterback talk now because of the question, but in actually an earlier conversation we had today, or was it today or yesterday? Man, what he's talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is the acquisition. The Washington Redskins got Alex Smith. They traded Alex Smith for Alex Smith from Kansas City, and they gave a cornerback and a pick, and that cornerback was really good. So, and the thing with Kansas City and Alex Smith is, Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes has a better arm and can move around, and everybody's excited about what Patrick Mahomes can do in that offense. Now, there are people that are a lot more smarter than us when it comes to football that say that you don't give up on Alex Smith, that you don't trade Alex Smith for what you got for him, that putting a second-year quarterback behind, Kansas City is a negative. Here's what I say about that, and because we've seen Washington, Minyon being from Dallas and me being there 10 years, and you know the history of the show. Here's the thing with Kirk Cousins, because they didn't want to franchise Kirk Cousins again, and they didn't want to give him a long-term deal. I don't understand why. Well, I understand you can reason that Kirk Cousins may not be a franchise QB. We'll see, because somebody's going to pay him a lot of money. Okay? But the thing with Alex Smith, which I think Nick Foles is actually better than, Alex Smith has never, when Alex Smith has been asked to win a football game for you, he's lost them. Yes. His arm is not that good. His accuracy is awesome. He's accurate.
You know what? His arm, you can compare it to Tim Tebow, really.
Oh. Minyon, that's bad. Come on.
I mean, dude.
Tim Tebow can't throw a ball. He can't throw anything but a shot.
50?
Huh?
50? From 50 and back, that's as good as it gets.
Dude.
And sometimes he can throw a ball deep, but it comes up to the point where it's like, you know what? I can't let you throw this ball up.
Yeah.
I can't let you throw this ball up. But he'll throw it up, and sometimes he'll get lucky downfield, and it's a duck, and his friends catch it. I say his friends because he's a trailblazer.
That's awesome.
So he makes a lot of friends moving
around. Dude.
He's a better version of Tim Tebow. That's the best way I can put it.
Hey, you know what?
And he gets opportunities. He gets more opportunities than Tim Tebow too.
Because Tim Tebow can't complete a practice. I love Tim. Tim Tebow is a good dude. I wish him well in the basketball career. He's a good analyst for college football. I love Tim Tebow. But Tim Tebow should be a fullback somewhere. I'm sorry. You should not be trying to... You fought so hard to be a quarterback, but every time we see you in practice, you can't do anything in practice, man. And it's just like, yo, this is crazy. But
because it's a headache, man. And I feel bad. You know, the other day I was listening to him, and he was talking to Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley asked him, "Would you ever try to go back and play football?" And he was like, "No." And was that because you won't be able to be quarterback, or he kind of hesitated on that question, and I'm like, yeah, it's because he can't play quarterback.
Because they'll tell him to play another position. Because in the New England camp, they talked to him about being another position. That happened.
Yeah.
Because there's no other reason. Belichick and McDaniels came to him and was like, look, like you, but you cannot complete a practice. You don't look good practicing in passing drills. Be a tight end. Be a fullback for us, please. Come on.
That's all.
You know what I mean? No, you can be freaking Julian. I can't even talk now. You can be Edelman, fam. He could be. He just doesn't want to. He wants to be quarterback, and he found the baseball season thing, and he's decent. He's a decent minor league prospect for his age. Fine, but back to Alex Smith for a second. I don't think with Washington Redskins, the upgrade that people are talking about is IQ. It's not talent. It's not. The arm strength isn't the same as Kirk Cousins. The decision making will be better, but then at the same time, his lack of arm talent will put him in situations where he'll be asked to win a game, where in Kansas City he wasn't asked to win a game.
This is true.
He was asked to manage a game. And you're asking this brother not to manage a game now. You're asking him to win a game. He has not been proven to do that.
No.
He's not proven himself to do that. So
I wouldn't let him prove it. That's
right.
the thing.
So Nick Foles has been asked to win you football games. Has not been asked to manage a game. Has been asked to win football games for you, and he has done so in Philadelphia. They are comfortable with him. They're comfortable with him throwing the first play of the Super Bowl, first down, first play of the Super Bowl. Let's throw the ball. Okay? I'm not being safe with you. I'm not running the ball with you. Okay, the offense. Run the offense. That's what I need a quarterback to be. And Alex Smith isn't that. Alex Smith is nice. Alex Smith is, he does what he does. But Washington Redskins are going to have a rude awakening when they ask that dude to win a football game for you.
Yes, they are.
So, if you're Washington, do you get on if there's a quarterback controversy or they feel like there is, do you get on the phone? I get on the phone. To see, you're going to be in the middle of the road anyway. You're going to finish third anyway. We talked about this the other day. Is Washington better than the Cowboys? I don't think so. This doesn't make them better than the Cowboys. This doesn't make them better than Philly. You still gonna finish not the same record, but the same place in the division. You still gonna finish third. Here's a thought. If you're, I'm just trying to think of teams that need QBs. If you're New York, the Giants. And I have a question about the Giants because I saw something and I thought of you today. But if you're the Giants, do you?
In the commercials. Oh my God.
Wait. Because I know you're gonna go. I know you're gonna go in. Give me 30 seconds though. If you're the Giants, is Eli? Are you gonna hang in there with Eli for another season? Are you gonna draft a QB, or are you gonna hang in there with Eli for the season? And again, if there's an issue, if you think there's going to be an issue with the quarterbacks in Philly later, do you make a phone call? Because going back to your original point about do you play Nick Foles? If you think Nick Foles is the dude, or has he proved himself to be the dude, if you're New York, do you call and do you ask a question about Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
Because like that, or Nick Foles, if they're like Nick Foles he did a wonderful thing, but he wants to move around, or he wants to start, or he feels like I proved myself as a starting QB now. Do you pick up the phone if you're in New York? because you can keep Eli and have a competition. The Jets need a QB. There's options if you feel there's a quarterback issue in Philly. I don't know if there is though, because
I mean the reason I think it is because you got a quarterback that took you halfway to the season, and then it got hurt. Then you had another quarterback who's seasoned already, who's familiar with gameplay in your system. And he just won you a Super Bowl. So yeah, I think it is. It can be some quarterback controversy because, of the outcome of that Super Bowl, man. I mean, I said it all season not all season, when Carson Wentz got hurt and when Nick Foles stepping in the way that he was playing, man. I said if he wins the Super Bowl, that's going to be a problem because that's going to leave coaches head scratching because, dude, I mean, there's no way you can say, Nick, hey, man, I need you to sit down while he's sporting a Super Bowl ring where he just
where he led you.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
see what you're saying. In that case, though, that if you're a smart GM, you can get a first round pick, because you've basically just said if you're a smart GM and you believe in your coaching staff, then you can get a couple first round picks and you can really soup up your draft and you can say, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get one of these QBs. I'm gonna draft one of these developmental QBs, not in the first round, but I'll get like a guy, I'll get like a dude in the third round. I can't think of anybody's name right now, but I get somebody in the third round or something like that, or the second day, and trade one of my other QBs. If you think Nick Foles is the dude, or you think you can win with Nick Foles, which I think you can. Yeah. I think you can too, I think you can. I think you can soup up I think you can soup up your offense. You can get another receiver. You can get another because you don't know if Alshon Jeffrey's going to stay, because that was a prove-it year. That's a prove-it year for him, and he's still a Southern kid. So he can still go and he can still get money somewhere else. So I trade somebody, and I'd see if I can get one of those top end receiver in the draft, or fix needs. Okay, if you really believe, and I get exactly what you're saying, if you really believe that there's going to be an issue there, and you really believe that Nick Foles is the guy, then you draft somebody on the second day or second or third day, and that can run your system, and trade one of them dudes for a first round pick and see what you can do and better yourself, because that's what if it's the Patriots, that's what the Patriots would do. If that's what the Patriots would do.
Because I mean, and I know nobody really expected him to really do what he did, because it's Nick Foles and his history. But dude, he just did it, bro.
It was never. But see, here's the thing, though. With me, it was never like Nick Foles is dumb. Nick Foles is gonna do something stupid. Nick Foles is a bad QB. It was never that. It was Brady's a crazy person, and Belichick's a genius. What are they gonna do to win this game? It wasn't Philly's bad. They're just gonna. But the people that thought Philly was gonna be bad, they just don't know football like they do, like they think they do. Philly's not a bad team. It's not. I've watched them too long. Okay, Nick Foles is not a bad quarterback. Do I like Carson Wentz better? Yes, but Nick Foles isn't a bum. So anybody that thought he was a bum and thought this was gonna be an easy walk away was gonna be like, I don't trust your. And there's a couple of really famous people that make millions of dollars on TV that thought Nick Foles was going to be, that this was going to be an easy win for the Patriots. And I question their football IQ. I do. I question their because it's did you not? And they've kind of softened Because at first they're like, yeah, they're gonna walk away. No, you're a Brady homer. You really don't know football like you think you do. But it's just, and I'm not gonna mention names, but there's a couple of famous people that have that thought, and I'm like, you know, like you haven't watched Nick Foles at his best when he was in Philly the last time, and all you have to do is make Nick Foles comfortable, and that's what they did. You got a bunch of quarterbacks in that offensive room drawing up plays for you, and he's a backup quarterback. Nick Foles is a backup quarterback, and you got 3 backup quarterbacks in your offensive room making you comfortable. Like, I figured there was going to be a close game, and I figured the Eagles would do something stupid, and that almost happened, and the Patriots would capitalize. That's why I picked the Patriots to win. But the idea that they're just going to be a bad football team, I was like, nah, you're not paying attention. The Eagles were more than Carson Wentz.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, to me...
They had depth. They did have depth. They had some depth, man.
They had running backs. Alshon Jeffrey was healthy.
Not just running backs. They had line. They
right.
had line that could switch up, man. I mean, when that
they had a defense. They had a defense. You know, in the defense, the pressure wasn't good today. There weren't a lot of sacks, but the one time there was a sack, it was a sack strip fumble, and that was the turning point of the game because that ended up as a score. And yeah, they weren't able to. The New England wasn't able to come back from that. So yeah, man, like I don't believe that Nick Foles is a bad QB, and I didn't think that it was going to be, and I didn't think the Philly was going to win, but I'm glad they won. But yeah, I want to ask you about the Odell Beckham commercial. Because I thought about you today. I thought about you when I saw that commercial, and I was like...
You thought right.
I was like, your favorite dude is on the commercial. What are your thoughts about the Odell Beckham commercial?
My goodness, man. I don't even know what to say. I think it was all. I think that really those commercials told you a story. That Eli's gonna be back. Odell Beckham's gonna be back. Don't worry. I think that was just the ploy to get Giants fans excited.
Right.
Eli's going to be back. Odell's going to be back. Guys, don't worry. We're going to compete next year.
Right.
That's what that was. And those commercials were hideous. And knowing it was drama on that team anyway, that's like telling everybody, look, oh, hey, we're dancing together. We're friends. We love each other. We want to compete for a championship. Oh, my God. It's that. All that mushy stuff, guys. I'm telling you, man. That's what it was.
For those of you that don't understand, Minyon has a hatred of Odell Beckham.
I'm just not a fan of him. His personality, guys. His personality. Ever since he caught that one catch on Dallas, Odell Beckham's the best receiver in the league.
Let's go.
He's the greatest. He's the greatest since sliced bread. Man, sit down. Man, sit your Dennis Rodman looking. Yeah,
the
like
man said Dennis Rodman. Wow.
Yeah, I mean he just I just his personality, his gameplay doesn't add up to his mouth, and the media just gives him too much credit. I mean, dude, really, when you think about the great receivers out there, look at the Steelers. I always compare it to them because they have some really talented receivers. Like, and it's not even funny. Heck, look at the Eagles.
Yeah.
Look at Alshon Jeffrey.
And Aguilar.
Look at Julio Jones.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Julio Jones is 10 times better than Odell Beckham. You know what I mean? He is.
But Odell Beckham will always... Odell Beckham, wow. He'll always have that one spectacular catch in a game, and it's like, dude, Odell Beckham. I have a very similar thing about DeMarcus Cousins in the NBA. Like, I don't hate him like you hate Odell Beckham, but I don't understand why he's awesome. Like, because you're not going to win with him.
Yeah. I told you earlier because he's a bully.
Yeah,
and people view him as that.
We had this conversation earlier in the day. But yeah, like the irrational feelings that he has with Odell Beckham, I kind of have with DeMarcus Cousins, so I get it. But yeah, man, like, so Philly, because we never said the score of the game, 41-33, 1,200 yards for both teams. Brady had, in a losing effort, more than 500 yards passing. Man, like that was probably the best game that I've ever the best Super Bowl game that I've ever seen. Like, before last year, it was last year, and after this year, it's this year. I don't know if what's going to happen after this. You seem to think that everybody's coming back. We know that McDaniels is probably going to go to Indy as the head coach. We know their defensive coordinator that's already been said. Defensive coordinator is going to go to the Lions as their coach, which scares me as a Bears fan because that means it's going to be a very black and blue division because everybody's defenses are going to be very good, and the Bears are up and coming. So yeah, we gotta beat Detroit. But yeah, I don't know if Brady's coming back. I think Belichick is, but I don't know if Brady's coming back.
You think they'll trade him or he'll just retire?
I think he'll retire. I honestly think, which puts New England in a bad position. It would be cool if Brady stays, but you shut up and you let them draft another quarterback again. Because if he decides to retire, because he is 40, like he did his goal or whatever. But if he wants to play another game or another year rather, then I would. If everybody's coming back again, you got to draft another QB. Because there were plays today where Brady missed people that was wide open and they couldn't do screen passes. And then as soon as we thought the demise of Brady was apparent, Brady pulls the rabbit out of the hat, and then him and Gronk get 4 straight completions.
So what do you think? So you wholeheartedly think Brady's going to retire?
It wouldn't surprise me if he did. I mean, you've done everything that you're supposed to do. You're the greatest QB ever. You're the greatest QB ever. After that comeback against Jacksonville, everybody says you're the greatest QB after that. Not to mention, you set the touchdown record as far as quarterbacks go. You beat Joe Montana. I mean, you can play another year if you want to. It's his career. Do what you want to do. But it seems like to me that this is a perfect time to see what else is out there if you're in New England. Now, that's just my opinion. I don't think he's going anywhere, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, when do you think he would announce something like that, though?
Don't know.
I mean, because obviously you wouldn't announce it at the beginning of next season.
Right.
You would. I mean, that'd be horrible. But
yeah, that would suck. Like right before training camp, I'm gonna retire, and it's like, wait a minute, what's happening? Wait,
what? Like, are you serious?
Then Brian Hoyer's your dude.
Oh my goodness. Do you think Belichick's gone?
It wouldn't surprise me if he goes too. Now, this is not a I'm going to retire thing, but this could be a I want to win without Brady thing. I want to see if I can develop another QB again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then again, all these theorizing could be, for nothing, and then they decide, hey man, let's do it again. Because as long as Brady feels good, as long as he feels good and is, like, because they going to lick their wounds. As long as he feels good, then he'll play again. But if I'm Belichick, man, because it was time this year that, maybe bring the kid in. You know what I'm saying? And Brady was like, no, you need to trade, Jimmy. And they traded him. But you saw chips in the armor today.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So if I'm Belichick, do I stay? Because Kraft is not gonna let Brady go.
Yeah, I mean,
Brady's gonna retire a Patriot. Like, they're not gonna trade him. They're not gonna release him. He's gonna retire a Patriot. Now, if you're Belichick, do you want to try again and see what happens, or do you want to move on to another organization and see if you can do it again?
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot to think about.
Right.
That's a lot to think about. I mean, I feel bad for right now. I feel bad for the upcoming teams next year because it's going to be some serious drafting going on next year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a lot of heavy movements. If Brady decides to leave, but he wants to continue to play, where do you think he would go?
I honestly don't think Robert Kraft will let that happen. I honestly think Robert Kraft will be like, no, I'll pay you as much as I need to pay you under the guise of the salary cap to make sure you retire a Patriot. Like, I think it's the other way around. I think if anybody leaves, and still continues their careers, it's Belichick.
So you think Belichick would leave?
I think Belichick would leave and coach somewhere else, yes.
Who do you think would step up and coach for New England, though?
I don't know. See, because at the time of everybody leaving, because Josh McDaniels hasn't technically taken the job yet in Indy. So if Belichick wanted to leave, then Belichick decided to leave before that job was taken, then it's McDaniels. But if McDaniels signs the job in the contract in Indy, and he's the coach in Indy, then I don't know. Then somebody else on that staff, because you've basically agreed in principle. The defensive staff, like he's told all his main guys to go to get jobs. So I honestly don't think that anything is going to happen. But if anything does happen, because I don't think they came in, because they played today like they actually wanted to win. It wasn't like it wasn't any like you're looking at the plays and you're like, what are they doing? You see what I'm saying? Like, it was, everybody was playing to win. It was just, you're seeing issues with Brady. You're seeing Brady not being able to complete certain passes. And you're like, okay, what's going on? But that Kraft and Brady have a real cool relationship. And it's like, okay, with the story that happened earlier this year, do you think that do you think that everything is going to be cool next season? And if they do decide to leave, if people do decide to leave, I think it's Belichick. I don't know who's going to step up and coach for them. It's somebody that's in the system. I don't know. Maybe Eric Mangini's. I don't know if he's coaching anywhere. But everybody else is kind of taking jobs. So I don't really know who's going to coach where. I do think if somebody decides to leave, it's Belichick, though.
Yeah, I can see that too, man. Who do you think Belichick would coach for, though?
It'd be really cool if he goes back to Cleveland. If he goes back to Cleveland where he failed, and tries to resurrect the Browns.
Oh my goodness.
I think that would be cool. And I think if that happens, if Belichick says I'm done as a New England Patriot, but I still want to coach, I think you would be a fool not to check in the temperature and fire your staff if he agrees to coach for you.
Yeah.
Because we've seen what he's able to do with certain players. We've seen what he's able to do. Come on. You've turned a 6th-round draft pick who never started anywhere into a Hall of Famer and probably the best QB ever.
Do you think he's the best QB
ever? Championship wise, if the standard is Joe Montana and you beat Joe Montana, yes.
Okay.
But we had this discussion last year.
Yeah. And I really thought this year, if he won 6, oh my goodness, that would have just been. Then
it's just legend. Then it's just like you're padding stats.
That's it.
And then you become, because you're tied with players that are not quarterbacks but have 5 championships, and you get 6, and then it's like you get 6, and then you're running for a straight up championship record, not Super Bowl record, but you're running against a record just purely on NFL championships, where you're talking about NFL championships and Super Bowls. Then that means you would have to win 7. Right now, they're on 5. You've beat, because Montana had 4. You have 5. You have all the Super Bowl records as far as passing yards. You've played in 8, unless offensively you throw for 2,000 yards in a game, like on some video game stuff. No one's gonna break that record because no one's gonna do 8 Super Bowls. Unless somebody does 8 Super Bowls, no one's going to be able to do that.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
So, like, you're already the best QB ever. Not the most talented ever, but you're already statistically the best QB ever. And accomplishment-wise, the best QB ever. Like, there's no... I think he is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who else could there be? If the standard is Montana and you beat him, like, we talk about Aaron Rodgers, no. No.
And truthfully, Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to beat Brady, dude.
No. We talk about Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers basically has a bunch of randomness, and he makes a bunch of randomness awesome. But as far as accomplishments go, no. It's Brady. Like, no. I'm good. Like, you're not gonna be able to go to 8 Super Bowls and win 5 of them.
It's too late.
Like I'm good. Like nah. Like, I don't even think there's anybody. I don't think there's anybody that crazy, or not crazy, but I don't think there's anybody that obsessed to proving themselves to go. And you've met the mad scientist that is Bill Belichick. Like, you talk about the perfect storm. That's the perfect storm, dude. Like, no, I don't see that happening.
I don't see it either.
We've seen that in the NBA as far as, okay, we've set, like, if you look at the records, the NBA records, like Bill Russell. We talk about Michael Jordan being the greatest ever just because of accomplishments and just because of, like, skill set and stuff and what he was able to do as far as changing the game. The person that won the most championships was Bill Russell. We have conceded the fact that that no one will ever win 10 NBA championships. Actually 11 if you count his coaching championship. No one will ever win 11 championships. We've conceded that.
Right.
So the mark is Jordan. We've seen people try to chase that. it's hard.
Yeah,
Like Jordan chased Magic, beat Magic, and Kobe chased Jordan, failed. LeBron is chasing Jordan now, failed. Like it's not working. It's not. That's I'm not turning this into an NBA discussion, but that's why there's always him thinking about moving to another team because you're chasing rings. You're chasing accomplishments. No one's going to do that in the NFL. The way Brady won his championships, no one's going to do that. And you're not going to be in the NFL. It's so intricate offensively. You're not going to have a mercenary QB that's just going to go to different teams and just going to dominate like that. So, yeah, he's the best ever, and I don't even think it's going to be close anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So, I think it's going to be a long run before somebody breaks that record.
Yeah, like Stone will probably be. You'll be a grandfather before that. Like, I doubt very seriously in our lifetime we will watch a dude that obsessed about proving himself and that angry about being slighted to where 5 championships and you've been to 8 Super Bowls. You're still going to play again this next season. And if everybody decides to be together, probably going to get there again.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So final thoughts, man.
Oh man, go Cowboys. That's the best thing I can say, folks. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. I'm ready for it.
All right, so since well, go Bears because
hey, there you go.
I'm really excited about the Bears this season. Because after seeing what Philly did with their read pass option, like right. I'm like because Nagy, the new coach of the Bears, is coming off of the Andy Reid version of it, and I'm like, okay, if that's what I got to look forward to, yay! Like let's go because we have good running backs. All we need is all we need is some receivers, man, and we'll be fine. So go Bears, go Cowboys. No, on the real, that was like I said earlier, that was the best Super Bowl that I've seen. That was probably the most competitive.
Right. Hands down.
Yeah, like you're not like last year was cool because we're watching an obsessed person just pick apart a scared team. Atlanta was scared. Like, and Atlanta's trying their hardest not to lose the game instead of trying to win the game. Philly was like, we're gonna win the game. Whatever we got to do to win the game, we're gonna win the game. I'm gonna beat the Patriots now. So, and the Patriots were like, we're gonna beat Philly now. And it was a dogfight. An underdog won the fight. So, I'm happy that the game went the way it was. 41-33 Philly. I'm an NFC guy, so I'm happy to see an NFC team win. And yeah, man, like Tom Brady's still great, but that's a hiccup. And now it'll be interesting to see how New England's going to react to this. And it'll be interesting to see, thanks to Minyon, it'll be interesting to see what Philly does. Because his point about the QB situation, I didn't think about.
Right.
Like, I didn't think about, like, Nick Foles maybe wanting to start or there's a quarterback controversy or, like, I didn't think about that. I just figured, like, you won a Super Bowl, you're a backup, you're going to be a backup, sit down and, like, help out and just be ready. But if you're Nick Foles now, like, do you say, I want to start now? Or do you ask to be traded? Or do you leave? Like that's a very intriguing. It's a very intriguing thought, Minyon.
Yeah,
That we kind of veered off into another whole topic, which we're prone to do.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That's what makes a good show, though.
Right, exactly.
Everybody gets a little bit of everything.
Right. But yeah, man, this was awesome. And
Yes,
Minyon, we gotta close out, man. But
okay, definitely.
and anyway, man, it was cool, and we definitely need to do this again. You know how we do randomness, football randomness or sports randomness.
We will get back on it, man. I can't wait for the off season.
Me too, man.
This is going to be special next year. It's going to be a lot of moves that we're going to be scratching our heads on, but I'm ready for it.
So
go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. So I'm guessing playoffs this year for them.
Let's not go that far. I mean, I think Zeke will have a decent year this year if he can stay healthy. But I mean, otherwise, heck, we hadn't figured out what we're gonna do with receivers or anything like that.
Hey, your boy Butler basically laid down the gauntlet and was like, y'all need to either pay me, make me the dude, trade Dez and make me the dude, or I'm up.
Right. Yeah, and I'm just like, I get it. I understand where he's coming from. But, dude, don't go barking orders like that. You ain't got your money yet, man.
You went on national TV. You went on national TV on 2 shows. It was like, y'all need to pay me, man. Right. And then when asked about Dez, you're like, yeah, that's the company decision. But I think I'm better than him. What?
See, I mean, but at the same time, I get it as a man, as a competitor. You never say somebody else is better than you. I mean, I understand that part, but that hurts you with other teams.
Well,
teams are looking at you and they're like thinking, how many times did you catch the ball?
It hurts you with certain teams. Certain teams would like the moxie and wouldn't care.
But you know, one squad he would do well on if he could keep his mouth shut.
Where?
Patriots.
Yeah, Belichick would be like, "All right, kid, no more TV appearances at all."
Exactly, no more. But that would not shock me if Belichick were to stay in New England and Butler became a free agent.
Right.
It wouldn't shock me if he picked him up.
Right.
And Butler became the number one receiver to a point. And then you got Butler, you've got Amendola,
you got Edelman that comes back healthy. You got
and you got Cooks back.
Yeah.
It's over, dog.
Yeah, you have 5 receivers now.
Right. And you got Gronk.
Right. You got Gronk, you got Hogan, you got Edelman, you got 5-6 receivers now. You have literally 3 receivers. Everybody else can play multiple positions. And it's not like today where it's like, dang, somebody got hurt and we only got 3 receivers and we can't stretch the field. Like Butler for the Patriots automatically becomes a deep threat.
Exactly.
But he would have to not talk.
Right. I don't need you to talk. I need you to do what I tell you.
That was brilliant. I was like, dude, you went on you went on Undisputed and you went on The Herd and you said the same thing. Like, do you really think the Cowboys are gonna sign you again?
He's got moxie.
I guess.
I mean, you're not even the number 1 receiver yet, bro. Like,
you're not even a number 2 receiver. I mean, he can be, but they pretty much said Terrence Williams is the number 2 receiver. Like, what do you want to do? Yeah, like, what do you want to do?
I mean, I can't believe he's a decent receiver, though. And, I mean, I think he could go to Houston. I think he could go. I think he could be another person to play for the Jaguars. I think there's a couple teams out there that he could.
I think he looked really good as a Bear too.
Ooh.
I think he looked. I think he would be with Mr. Trubisky. I think he would look real good as a Bear. Like he'd be number one receiver like right away. For what we have now, there will be competition for number one receiver, and you could pay him. Because what the Bears are trying to do, they're trying to get Sammy Watkins, and they're trying to do all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, like you don't necessarily have to do that. Because Watkins from Buffalo is injury prone. You're trying to get injury prone guys, and you already have an injury prone guy in Kevin White that you don't even know if this dude can run. I've seen what Bryce Butler can do. You put him on the Bears, he's a number one receiver.
Easy.
So...
Easy.
Like it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the NFC East because I think that'll be a dogfight. I think the NFC North will be a dogfight this year just because defenses. Everybody's gonna be defensive heavy. Aaron Rodgers is gonna be back, and now with the coaching staff with the Bears, you're going to be. I think the Bears are going to be better than somebody. I don't know who, but they're not gonna finish.
Browns.
Well, the Browns ain't in that division.
The Cowboys will be better than the Browns.
Well, the Browns got to figure out what they want to do at QB though. Like, what do you want to do at QB though? Like, you either want Deshaun Kaiser to play or you don't. And they have a tendency to draft. Watch them draft like Baker Mayfield or somebody that they don't need to draft. Like you're not gonna and I'm not saying Baker Mayfield's bad, but watch them draft somebody that they like. What the heck are you drafting? And then they don't trust them. Like that the thing with you bypassed everybody last year, and then you get Deshaun Kaiser, and Deshaun Kaiser. My thing about the whole quarterback draft that season was every one of those QBs were projects. All of them were. You know what I'm saying? So you get the one that's basically the rawest of it's Trubisky and it's Kaiser. None of those QBs were ready, but you get the last one. That's the rawest and the youngest, and then you put him out there because talent-wise, he's beating all your QBs that you have on the roster, and then they decide halfway through the season, okay, we're going to bench you, and then the dude that they put in, the guy that they put in, they go, he sucks, and then they put Kaiser back in, and Kaiser still sucks. So it's like, are you going to draft the top QB this draft, or are you going to keep Kaiser? And if you're going to draft the top QB, do you have guys around him? Do you have the coaching staff around him to make him better? I think they've drafted. I think they've got some. I don't exactly know who they have right now, and I can't pull them up on the computer. But depending on how the Browns are with their coaching staff, they might have a decent season, but I doubt it. But yeah, the Browns are management is bad, so the Browns may be horrible. But yeah, the Cowboys will be better than the Browns. The Bears will be better than the Browns. I think the Bears will end up being. Let's see. I think the Bears will end up being better than Minnesota, because I don't know what quarterback they're gonna get.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be pretty tricky next season.
Yeah, like I think our teams are in divisions that are going to be very interesting this coming season. But I definitely got to get you in before the season starts. Maybe after the draft. I always say I'm going to get you in like right after the draft to talk about, okay, we got our drafts right. We got the free agency right. Let's see how this is going to go. So maybe, before the draft or after the draft, we can do a football show.
Let's do it.
we got to do a basketball show too around the playoffs because I know you got thoughts about b-ball too.
Exactly.
So
no doubt about that.
But anyway, man, I know you got other stuff to do today. It was cool. I will holler at you later.
Oh, did you stop recording already?
No, I didn't.
Oh. Okay. So we gotta have an ending to the show.
Yeah. So Pushing Wild Black here for Pushing Wild Black Sports.
Hey, and this is Minyon with the Rant Sport and Fitness.
All
I'll
right.
let you guys.
All right. Pushing Wild Black out. Later, people.